be effective at leveling the playing field between U.S. and China. He accused China of engaging in unfair business practices. Maryland Governor Wes Moore is saying it'll likely cost close to $2 billion to rebuild Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge. In an interview with CBS's Face the Nation, Moore said the state needs federal money to get the project completed in a timely manner. He's pushing for a 100% federal cost share, meaning the federal government would cover the entire cost. The National Hurricane Center is keeping an eye on a new tropical disturbance forming out in the Atlantic. Meteorologists say the storm could form into a more serious storm system by the middle of next week, and that it has a 20% chance of strengthening as it heads west across the Atlantic. Officials are also tracking a system off Mexico's east coast that could become a tropical depression by midweek.
I'm Chris Coraggio, NBC News Radio.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
Did you know here at KCAA 1050 AM that we developed an app for all your Android devices? We're talking about your smartphone, your tablets, you name it. You have an Android format, you can take KCAA with you everywhere you go. We're talking about our audio stream, our video stream, and even our podcast. Go to kcaaexpress.com. That's kcaaexpress.com. kcaaexpress.com.
All right, good evening. Welcome to the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website and nbrradio.us. We gotta bless the show before we get started. Let's go. When I was in my mother's womb, I had a calling on my life to do something in the glory of God and marry it like a wife. Commit myself to his word and never be led astray. And when it's all over, when he comes, I'll be glad to see that day in the morning time.
Radio.us. Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code. Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh,
too,
man, that shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. Do you know the facts that if both parents have sickle cell trait, there's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease?
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army, 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org. All right, welcome to the Farron Dozier Show right here on KCAA Radio 106.5 FM at 1050 AM. I want to know if you can hear me. You can't hear me, can you? No, you can't hear me. So let's go to that. Zetovia salve, made from natural and organic ingredients, good for inflammation, poor circulation, hemorrhoids, yeast infection, lip sores, dry coughs, eye pain, minor cuts and bruises, and ready to purchase at botanicaherbalco.com. 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 All right, welcome to the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Also streaming from the KCAAradio.com website and MBR. So if you got to go to your website at kcaradio.com, click listen live or watch live, or go download the app. KCA Radio has an app. Also, MBR Radio has an app. So you can go and download those and listen to us anywhere, all at the same time, wherever you are. Have some fun with it. Before we bring up my teammate tonight, Alan, how do I want to say this? Let's just go for it. I'm officially launching the Orcas basketball program. All right. So the Ventura Orcas are going to be playing in the 2024-2025 season out there in Ventura County. I'm the owner. Yes. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring our sickle cell trait awareness campaign. We're going to bring our veteran suicide campaign. We're going to bring our emotional intelligence campaign as well. So those are going to be the 3 platforms that we're going to be bringing to the community, along with the ABA platform. So we're going to be chasing the ABA championship and raising awareness for sickle cell trait, veteran suicide, and emotional intelligence. That emotional intelligence piece, it goes as far as 4th graders all the way up to parents. So we're coming to transform the community of Ventura County with some emotional intelligence courses. And we know that they're effective because they've been utilized for the last 60 years by my man Caldwell Williams. So that is going to be in front of our basketball program. The basketball is a bonus, right? The basketball is a bonus. My conversation from health and safety is just as important as the championship for the ABA, but we're going to put those together and have some fun. So if you want more information about that, go to wdconsct.org. Under the donation tab, you'll see basketball platform. Click that, learn all about what we're going to be bringing to the community around the basketball platform with sickle cell trait awareness. That's our number one talk. I have sickle cell trait myself, and I experienced that in the military. Collapse, almost died with sickle cell trait exertion with rhabdomyolysis. If you've seen athletes collapsing playing sports, so it is sports related, and we're going to use the basketball platform. That's the logo right here for the Ventura Orcas. What else? The veteran suicide. In the midst of that, that's important to me because they say that about one veteran commits suicide every 65 minutes. We say it's 22 a day, but we know it's more than that. So that is another part of that conversation that we're going to be bringing awareness to. I was in that state of mind before. I have to manage that, and I'm not going to lie to you. I have to manage that still because, when you make a decision to yourself that life is over, there's something that gets connected, and I'm discovering for myself it was an identity crisis. That's why the basketball is important to me because I had a basketball identity as well. So growing up as a child, I played basketball, had that basketball identity. It transitioned over to when I became a soldier. And then when that uniform came off, I was lost. I didn't know who I was. And so understanding that, how important that conversation is, if you look in the world, you see that in the world, we don't talk about it as much, but the retired police suicide rate is just as high as well. So you're talking about veterans of sports, veterans of military, peace officers, firefighters, like it's a human flaw, right? It's a human flaw around this mental health conversation. And it's so many layers to it. When you say mental health, to me, that's the label. And then when you peel that off, what does that look like for you? And so we will have conversations around that to support you in discovering what that looks like for yourself in that identity crisis, communication skills, listening without defending, how to manage change. Another part of that is managing change. You know how for some people, managing change is hard, right? And so those are some of the conversations we're going to be having along with the emotional intelligence for our children. So shouts out to the Rio School District. We're working with them right now for the last 3 years to put this together. Shouts out to Ask Ilya. He's going to be our marketing department. So if you want to be a part of the ground level, we're at ground zero. So we're looking for sponsors. We're looking for partners, community leaders, partnerships, all of that. We're going to need to launch our season in November. So you can go to wdconsct.org under the donation tab, look for the basketball platform, or go to orcasaba.com and you'll see all of the information about the Ventura Orcas. It's an ABA professional semi-pro basketball team. If you remember Dr. J, that's where Dr. J came from, the ABA. The ABA has about 150 to 200 teams across the country. So if you sponsor our basketball team in our platform, in our conversations, you will get national recognition over all the platforms that we talk from, that we share from our website. You'll be on all of the banners, you got an opportunity to be on the jerseys as well, all of our basketball materials, and you'll be supporting those three conversations at the same time. So information again, one more time, orcasaba.com or wdconsct.org. Go there, visit the website, search around. And again, if you have any kind of questions, anything you want to know about it, just let me know. I'll put the website up there on the deck, wdconsct.org. I'm nervous. I ain't going to lie, because now I have to put on this hat called ABA owner. I'm an advocate, so this is the inaugural season. I don't know what to expect. All I know is that we're going to have some fun out there. We have to have 20 games, so we have 10 home games, 10 away games. Again, we're looking for all levels of sponsorships, and we're going to make it happen. First season out the gate. Shouts out to Spark the World. He is going to be helping us do some tryouts. So I'll be announcing all the tryouts and stuff via social media as well. At Orcas ABA on Instagram is our Instagram page as well. And we got a Facebook page also, VC Orcas. That orcas also is important. We have a campaign around that because if you don't know, orcas are endangered species as well. So we're actually going to have an endangered species campaign about saving the orcas also, because that is our mascot, right? And so we have a few things that we're going to be offering the community to support us
other than just coming to watch a game, right? The basketball game is going to be the bonus. So again, I appreciate you. What else? It was Juneteenth celebration yesterday. It was World Sickle Cell Day celebration yesterday. So Jody and I was out in Pomona. Jody shared one of his gospel songs, Family Man, for the Father's Day as well, which was today. But yesterday he rapped Family Man. I shared about sickle cell trait. He shared about having sickle cell beta thalassemia. And then we performed the Battle of the Gene song as well. So again, very important conversation. The Juneteenth conversation is so important, so important, because there are still, how can I say this? There are still people really emotionally wounded by what happened to our ancestors, right? And there's still a lot of healing that needs to take place. And one of those social justice kind of conversations is also important. And I do that part of the work with the Project 50 in Ventura County as well. So I'm their youth mentor counselor for Project 50 in Ventura County. So I'm coming to Ventura, y'all. I'm coming out there to do some work and to make a difference, make a change, improve, the community engagement. And so the social justice piece is just as important. I think it's something that we all deal with. If you understand inclusion and exclusion from an emotional level of that, a lot of us are still wounded and we suffer in silence, right? So when you say, I can't stand the white man, my question is, what white man are you talking about? Because there are some people who are white-skinned who their ancestors came here as second-class citizens, right? So we talk about the Irish, the German, the Polish. They came here as second-class citizens and they were excluded. They were all hyphenated like us, right? Until 1981 with Ronald Reagan and Lee Atwater unhyphenated the white-skinned and allowed them to check that box white, still leaving some of us emotionally wounded because we feel like we're excluded emotionally, right? So that's just one of those conversations we're going to have as well. And that was yesterday. Today, Sunday church. It was third Sunday. We had a prophet in the house, so I did not share my message. I was prepared, though. I was prepared to share my message, but we yield to the prophets when they come to church. So it was great to hear Prophet Samuel share his message. He just laid his mom to rest yesterday, and he was at the pulpit today sharing a message for us. And so very grateful for him. And what else? I think that's it. So we're going to get into some topics, some conversations. I got Alan Emmanuel here. Shouts out to the Sports Collective crew. They're out doing their thing. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. And also, I'm going to say this too, like I did for Mother's Day. Some of us don't have our fathers, right? Some of us, our fathers have passed on. So just be aware for those who are still experiencing missing their dads. My dad's not here anymore. This is the 5th year. And, it's not as sensitive because, he and I reconciled before he passed away. So there's no hurt feelings, about our relationship. But some people don't have their parents, right? And some people have their parents and don't really talk to their fathers, right? So that's another level of conversation in the emotional intelligence that's important, because how do you reconcile that relationship with your dad, right? And so when you hear people say Happy Father's Day and you're not really in communication with your father because of some wedge between your relationship, how do you think that person feels when you say that? So yes, we're sincere as human beings and we want to, acknowledge because it's Father's Day, but be aware that some people are still dealing with their relationship with their parents. And that's very important. And it's really a sensitive matter for some. However, for those that have lost their parents or their dads, just be mindful of that, because people are still grieving. Grieving they say it's 5 stages. I think there's about 6 or 7 stages, but people are at different stages of their grief. So just be mindful of that. I always want to share that around these special days. And what else? Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to play the PSA. We're going to come back and we're going to get into some, how can I put it? What we say, emotional intelligence. Let me bring up my guy up here. How do you want to language today's topic?
What's going on?
What's up, man? How do you want to label today's conversation?
I think. First of all, thank you for having me again.
Appreciate
here
you, man.
On a beautiful day, or night.
Yeah, depending on where you are.
Depending on where you are, I am Alan Emanuel, the happiness coach, and I'm happy to be here. It is a conversation around emotional intelligence is one of those things that we kind of saw pop up on the pop psych kind of field, and then it sort of developed into this thing because science grew into science, so to speak. But there's definitely an understanding that emotional intelligence has its roots in the way that we understand each other as human beings. So it's like if I have the ability to manage the way that I use my emotions for myself, and if I have the ability to understand other people's emotions around me, I'm called emotionally intelligent. And I think that that's a great umbrella for our conversation. I think it'll help people to begin understanding that it's bigger than just having one little tool in the toolbox.
Right.
Like, okay, yeah, I know how to respond without defending. That's one tool in the toolbox. But really, that entire conversation is around emotional intelligence, which essentially is the way in which we are able to master and matriculate through our emotions, both within ourselves and with other people. And if we could do that, we can actually develop lives that are smoother in the living. You know what I mean? So I want to say what's up to everybody on Instagram Live that I am streaming through, and it's gonna be a great conversation. We're gonna really help some people find greater places for healing. So I'm excited.
We have to, man. We can. I made this dedication that I will not leave anyone in the dark, man. We will not leave people in the dark.
Well, if they're in the dark, it's not gonna be your fault.
All right, so what we got? Let's see. I'm gonna play this public service announcement real quick, and then we'll come back and chop it up with Alan Emanuel, the happiness coach, right here on the Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM in the Inland Empire. Also streaming from the KCAA Radio.com website, also at MBR Radio. Make sure you go get the apps and check us out. We're all over the place right now. Twitch. I believe we're on TikTok Live. We're on Facebook Lives everywhere. We're on YouTube everywhere. So, you can catch us everywhere right about now. We'll be right back to the Farron Dozier Show. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh, man, that shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. Do you know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org. www.wdconsct.org. Do you remember studying sickle cell in biology class? What's the Count on Sickle Cell Trait Prevention is here to bring you awareness, education, and prevention conversations around the risk factors of this inherited gene. Visit wdconsct.org.
Muchos de nosotros nos vemos afectados por la enfermedad de células falciformes a diario y un número creciente simplemente no nos damos cuenta. Los impactos de esta enfermedad afectan a todas las personas y en especialmente a las personas de color y con antecedentes diversos. Estar en servicio conmigo y con los demás a medida que creamos una mayor conciencia sobre cómo identificar y dirigir el tratamiento de los rasgos de células falciformes y ayudar a las familias a saber cómo superar el trastorno de células falciformes. WDCONS.
You're listening to The Farron Dozier Show on KCAA Radio, 106.5 FM, 1050 AM in the Inland Empire. Also streaming from the KCAARadar.com website, NBR Radio, TuneIn Radio, Pandora, Google Play, Blog Talk Radio, iHeartRadio, Podcast, Stitcher, Amazon Radio, just to list a few. Oh yeah, and the streaming videos are located at Tiki Live or Rumble under the Farron Dozier Show. Catch us live or catch us on the archives at the Farron Dozier Show. Shout us out, what's the count? Visit farrond.com for more information. Just had to make sure that we was on all the platforms. Everything's cool out there, so we good.
I'm looking at the list of. I'm like, how many more shows can you be on?
Hey, with favor ain't fair. That's all I can say.
Favor ain't fair.
Favor ain't fair. All right, so I want to shout out to Caldwell Williams with the Goaltenders program, the platform, LBI Solutions. I met Caldwell 2018. He has been doing his program for 60 years plus. And meeting him introduced me to his program. At that time in 2018, I had been in Landmark probably 7 years. And sitting with Caldwell with his education, there was some things that I didn't learn from the other programs that I got from his education. So it was like you said, those tools, like I found a whole nother set of communication skill tools that, kind of just blew my mind. And
give me an example of one.
So one example is I used to have this thing where, like, say you and I were going to hang out, right?
Yeah.
But then I also wanted to spend time with my daughter. And so I would be torn between hanging out with you and hanging out with my daughter, because I really want to go hang out with you because we was going to go to some concert or do whatever, but that my daughter wants to also spend some time with me as well. So I would be torn, and my experience of myself would be so disappointed in myself because I feel like I'm going to leave one of y'all disappointed if I don't hang out with you or her. And then y'all gonna be disappointed, and I'm gonna be disappointed because I really didn't get to do what I wanted to do, right, and make that happen. So one day I sat with Caldwell and was like, man, I was just tired of it, and I just brought it up to him one day, sitting watching TV, and he was like, "Oh, that's ambivalence." I said, "What?" He's like, "That's ambivalence." And I was like, so when I looked at it, I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And it's that fear. And when I applied, when I looked it up and looked at it, and then I looked at my life, I could see that I could create my life. And guess what? I could go spend time with my daughter and then go hang out with my friends and make it all work. But I would have to communicate that to the people in my life. I didn't communicate that. I was
do you see like myself. let me slow you down because I know we're on radio and everything, and we gotta keep it moving so people stay interested. But I still gotta slow you down for a second.
Say it.
I think one of the biggest things that you just said that I think would go straight over people's head if we don't stop and slow down is the fact that you had to come to terms with asking for help and then going to do some research around what's happening with you. Now, when you talk about you had to figure out, so underneath all of this, are you telling me that I could create what I would like to build?
Yes.
Part of the story underneath that is if I am not able to see how what I've created, right? What is in tension with what I am allowing to happen. There's a tension happening between the two things. And the fact that you had to have that tension identified by an emotion. I'm going somewhere, so you know how.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm with you. Let's go.
So that tension between the two things had to be identified by an emotion.
Yes.
When you become clear of the emotion that you had to identify underneath, that's the only time when you're actually ready to have the conversation. What happens is people try to have the conversation before they are clear on what is happening emotionally. So they haven't identified why there's the tension. They don't know what the emotion for them is. And then they're like, and then they're having conversations and it's like, well, I don't know why, I can't get along with you. I'm trying to make you happy, and they don't really know what the emotion underneath is. I just want to say under all of that, there is awareness. And this is what emotional intelligence actually is. It is the ability or the capacity to navigate and to manage what is happening underneath with the way we run our lives. The conversation on top is like, okay, well, I got to go to take care of this. I want to go out with you to hang out, but I also want to be with my daughter. And how do I make those two things work, right? One of the steps is, you could create your own life. Okay. Somebody could say, well, that's just management of your time. What they're not getting is that you could manage your time, but if the conversation with the emotion is not clear,
and you still frustrated when you're doing it,
you haven't managed anything. What you've done is you've increased the likelihood of you feeling disconnected from your life.
Yes. And when he said ambivalence, bro, it was like, and I don't have it anymore. But
right.
Because I saw where it was coming from, I saw how I felt, the disappointment, the diminished, like, wait a minute, why do I have to? I don't know.
I don't have to do this.
I'm gonna hang out with you for a couple hours. What time we going to the show?
Right.
Okay, boom, 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 let's go. And I'm fulfilled. I'm happy.
And you can actually, when there is a challenge with, say, time management or whatever, you can actually have a conversation with somebody about where you are emotionally. You know what I mean? Like, this is how I'm feeling about this because of this and this. And so I'm going to make this choice. As long as that works with you, we can make it work. A lot of people are doing those pieces, right? But they're not doing any of the work underneath. So they don't know why they are having issues with managing, the girlfriend and work. They don't know. You understand what I'm saying? And they're struggling. Of course, you might need a happiness coach, but that's shameless public.
Shameless. We got a comment. We got a comment.
Somebody said third chakra activation. Yeah, awareness. Nice coaching. All right, MJ.
The spelling of activation. We appreciate you.
But you know what it is that this is men's mental health awareness. And I just spent, 3 hours earlier today on Instagram just talking about these things. We have a summit coming up. I hope you don't mind me sharing this because it's actually a men's mental health awareness summit coming up. And actually, if they go to Alan Emanuel, the happiness coach, or if they go to Alan Emanuel coaching, they could find the link so they could register. It's a free webinar where we're going to be talking to people about what it means to actually have what the men's aspect of mental health. We have a listening service, which is by Dr. Lawrence, who's going to be sharing like what does it mean to actually learn listening, right? And what is the benefit of listening? A lot of us are living our lives and we don't know how to listen, and even deeper, when we don't experience being heard. So it's like that let me tell you something. You see that right there? That conversation? Let me tell you something. If you do not have a place where you can be heard as a human being, whether it be on a WDC radio show or it be because somebody's sitting down and looking into your eyes and saying, tell me all about it, right? If you don't have a place for that, I guarantee you, Farron, you are going to experience other places in your life where you're going to feel diminished. It's gonna show up in your behavior. This is where a lot of addictions stem from. People living, running away from their lives, and so addiction is kind of like their way of getting the high that they're missing in their lives, or it's an escapism to get away from the life that they cannot deal with because they simply haven't said to themselves, "Let me go a little deeper and find out what that emotional intelligence is about. What do I need to understand about my own emotion?"
You gotta be able to experience. You gotta be able to experience. And that's one of the things that I've learned for myself. Yeah, I can discover what my attitude is, what my behavior is, but to feel that peace, to feel that diminished, to feel that upset, to feel that frustration, the Bible calls them strongholds, right? So we talk about anxious and anxiety and worry, all those kind of emotions. But do you recognize what it feels like in your body? And the moments, each time I have my breakthrough and transformation experience, is because I allowed my body to go back into that time of where I felt that pain and I felt that, why is that knot in my stomach coming? And when I connected that knot to the 14-year-old decision that I made about the girl in junior high school, the knot let go and it disappeared. Now the knot may show up, but guess what? I recognize
what it is.
I know what
that
it
is emotional intelligence, because a lot of people think it's just how to manage stuff. No, it's first awareness. It's like I know what is when I experience certain emotions, I can tell you what signs they're leading to. You have to understand this. Every emotion that human beings experience, Farron, there is actually a connection to what it's trying to tell you.
Yep.
And you're either going to pay attention and learn the lesson through the emotion you're experiencing, or you're going to suffer the consequences. Ouch.
And I learned that about the identity, right? My identity crisis, because that what's next is what my mind was like, hey, over here, buddy. We're not a soldier anymore. We got something else I'm ready to take on for. But the more I tried to suppress that, right, and not address that and focus on the anxiety of my career ending, it was like the spiral.
Yeah, and a part of that is a willingness to be in the present.
Yeah.
A part of that is saying, you know what? I can look at the past, I can look at the future. What I'm not going to do is stop living right now, right? I know there's some stuff coming up that I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. And I know there's some stuff that happened that I really regret, or maybe I just thought, man, why would I feel bad that happened to me, right? So I could pity myself about the past. I could, worry myself into the future. But guess what? You're here. You're here. And what are you choosing to do with your present, right? And anybody who takes a gift and takes that gift and says, you know what, I see the gift, but let me just put it to the side, and you start to look at things that don't exist. We would call that insanity, right?
Or for those who try to, as you said, drink it away, eat it away. I'm gonna go to the movies so I could take my mind off of it. I'm gonna go. No, you can try to suppress it. You think you could get drunk and suppress it. Guess what? Nah.
And this is how crazy it is. You were created very, very distinctly to experience these things as a protection mechanism so that your mind and your body could be in tune with what's happening and knowing how to deal. So if we did not have emotions, we would not know how to interact with the world around us and with people.
Exactly.
And it
Exactly.
would create chaos. You understand what I'm
We
saying?
need those. We need those. Those emotions. Anger is not a bad thing. Anxious is not a bad thing. It's the context of which what you made that mean about you as a person. That's where it gets all corrupted. But like you said, some of the survival skills, we need those.
I was gonna say, if you take that anxiety and you allow that anxiety to roll itself up in a ball and plop right in front of you and tell you that, hey, everything that's about to happen in the future is here now. You now are experiencing the pain of something that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And a part of it is recognizing that enough to say, oh, slow down. You're going to be all right. Take a few deep breaths. Recognize what's happening to you. Acknowledge that it don't feel that great. Find out what it means to you. And then start working towards the future in a different direction. If you could do that, you find yourself managing better. If you can't manage by yourself, you already know, I'm going to tell you, come on and call the head coach to work with you. No, I mean, seriously, like if
you got to figure it out. You got to figure it out.
If you're struggling, get help. But at the end of the day, understand that you can't run away from your own emotions.
You can't. We need those. They're great to keep us alive and surviving. But when it comes to the human reaction and human connection is where it gets corrupted, and the anxiety and, like I said, the disappointment. I mean, you can't avoid disappointments. It's all about what you make it mean.
You got to decide, right? Like, do I want to live my life through the emotion, or do I want to respond to that emotion to live my life in the moment? It's a choice. Right.
I know one of those emotions I share is Father's Day. So for those of you who's lost your father, I had to watch how I expressed how I lost my dad. So I would say I miss my dad. Right. What I learned was to correct my language, even to myself, is saying I'm experiencing missing my dad, because there are days that I don't miss my dad. Right. And guess what? It's okay not to miss him. It's okay that you can go about your life because it's your turn. It's your life. But there will be moments that you feel that loss, and you can go and be with that in that moment. Go be with that loss. Go sit down. I play some music. I go cry. I'll think about some stuff. And then when that emotion of the loss starts to disappear, I'm like, okay, cool. Now, what do I need to do today? I need to get this stuff done.
But it will arrest you. It will arrest you if you're unable to recognize the difference between what you're experiencing and who you are in your identity. It will literally arrest you and put you in a state of immobility. You will not be able to go left or right. You will constantly be in the state in which you are acknowledging an identity around. You understand? Right. So you have to move away from that identity and say, like you said, there are days when I experience this. There's days I experience that. I choose how I experience this. I choose how I experience that.
It was the weight of I miss my dad. Like I put on this jacket and I felt the weight of it because I miss my dad was my language. Maybe not for some folks, but for me, I felt the weight come on of the loss, and I miss him, and that's all I had.
Right. And it's interesting because, like, I working with people who deal with grief, there are ways to understand what grief means, and we've talked about this a little bit, but like just the going far enough matters. You have to go far enough into the conversation to say, what is it that I'm missing? Right? There's the physical person, right? And then there's the characteristics, the energy, the spiritual realities of what that person meant to me. Right? You have to be able to say, okay, that physical is not here in front of me. I get that. That gives us a sort of physical disconnection. But most of the time, what we're actually talking about, because in reality, even when the person is here on earth with us and coming, we're not with them all the time.
We're not with them all the time. Nope.
Right? So
Nope.
what we're actually missing is what that person meant, the things that they represented. And those things actually never really do die. Those things still exist.
But also, I want to add to that before we take this PSA break, is that you've got to understand the emotion that you're feeling, because what if it's resentment? What if it's regret?
Right.
I wish I would have called them more. Now you got to catch how your subconscious mind is talking to you about the relationship that's not here anymore, because my mind tried to give me one thing. Me and my dad was clear, but my mind tried to give me one thing about the weekend that he passed that I didn't talk to him. And so my subconscious mind said, "Oh, but you didn't talk to him." And I was like, "Oh, you're right. How come I didn't call him?" I was in it for about 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
Like, oh man, I was like, I should have called. So I was beating myself up. Like, how come? And then I was like, wait a minute. When we found his body, I grabbed his phone. I looked at the times, and guess what? He was gone on Friday night.
Yeah.
So if I would have called him on Saturday, he wasn't going to answer the phone. If I'd have called him on Monday, he wasn't going to answer the phone. So I had to let that go, to be honest with today, and say, hey, you know what? He was already gone, man. And you know what my mind said? You right. Okay, we good.
Because a part of it is, you see that conversation you had to have with yourself about the facts?
Yes, the facts.
That story you told yourself about, why didn't I call?
Yep.
Why didn't? And now you've created an entire reality around what you mean, or what kind of son you could be. And
Right.
now you're living out a past reality that didn't necessarily get supported by the facts. You see what I'm saying? And we do this to ourselves because it makes us feel as if, right? A part of this is the experience of longing and staying connected to that person.
Yeah.
When in fact, if that person was here, they would say to you, you need to live your life now that you have everything I've given you in life.
Exactly.
You see what I mean? So there is a part of this that comes with only working through the process through grief. And, you know, everybody's not capable of doing this by themselves. And sometimes you need a little jolt to be like, here, let's go through this together and figure out where you really are, right? To get you there.
So imagine if you're carrying all of that in your subconscious mind, in your space, and even a little bit of your conscious mind, how can you listen to someone without defending yourself? Or how can you talk to someone without offending them? I just realized today, as we put this show together, that I do talk, and I can't offend you by how I talk.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But I didn't think that I did that, though.
Because none of us think we do that. What do you mean? What do you mean that everything I'm doing has the perfect intention? How could it possibly hurt anyone, right? What you have to remember is that the stuff that hurts people when you speak is their stuff coming up.
Is there exactly? So when I was speaking without trying to offend, I was offending by how I was speaking, because as you said, it then that person then gets attacked because they're dealing with whatever they're dealing with, and you might be pointing it out, but you can't point that out.
No, because
you can't point that out about me.
It's like taking somebody's wound and being like, hey, let me help you. Come, and you're like pointing on it, and you pounding on, like, is this where it hurts? Is this where it hurts? And the person's like,
God,
why are you punching my ulcer? You know what I mean?
I didn't know that I could literally speak and offend people.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. It should not be our goals to not offend. Right? Because you'll drive yourself crazy if you're just trying not to.
Of course, because you can't control the other person's emotions either.
You can't control the other person.
You can't control how they respond.
The goal is to have clear intentions and to make sure that you you clarify your intentions to the other person, and where there is a misunderstanding, that you are humble enough to come back, regroup, and explain your intention again. That takes work.
Yeah,
you
that's
have
the
to
step that I missed.
Yeah, because a part of it is like, okay, so you were offended that I said this. Of course, in my mind, I'm like, no, I'm not trying to offend you. Well, why are you getting offended? Why are you? That's the natural reaction if you are simply in your own self. But if you can understand that I'm human too, I've been offended before. And what this person is saying, there is a way that maybe they could be taking it the wrong way. At that point, you could say, hey, let me clarify my intentions for you. After you've done that 3 or 4 times and the person's still stuck in their story, then you let them know, hey, you know what? I just want you to know, no matter what, this is not about me coming off and trying to put you in the position you're in. If you need me, I'll be available. You see what I'm saying?
And we got Fire Social Worker says, I'm loving this conversation. We thank you for listening. And what I learned today in putting this together is the other side of that is you can also learn how to listen without defending yourself as well. So now, can you imagine having a partner that you can listen, you can talk without offending, and they can listen to you without being? That's harmonious.
That's a beautiful place to live.
That's
but
harmony right there.
I guarantee you, if 20% of the population lives there, that'd be a great big number.
Man.
Because most of us are not existing in the space of the present and having an open heart and open hands to receive what's coming at us so that we can actually be able to respond.
Now I see why humility is so important in the background.
Huge, because humility we all carry. Let's be honest. We all carry. You get me worked up, but you know, but we all carry a level of what we've spoken about before, which is this blind spot.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing everything right from my perspective.
I didn't say nothing to offend you.
What do you mean?
I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you.
And the person's like, you can't see. The first thing you gotta recognize is, that's your stuff, right? It's like somebody who just like had their foot cut off, and you like, why are you crying? All I did was wave the knife or the what you call it, the axe, and it mistakenly chopped off your foot. Why are you mad? Why are you mad at that? You understand what I'm saying? Versus that person who should know first aid, who can say, you know what, I hear you. I'm really sorry about the foot that fell off with this. Let me see if I can help you mend that. And be that person in humility that says, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to chop off your foot.
Let me read my notes. So my notes have speaking without offending, listening without defending, and you do that by the lyrics and the tone, right?
Yes.
But like we said, the stuff that we don't like about ourselves is what we're trying to keep away from us, is what we're pointing to in those conversations, and that person just starts to defend that in themselves, right? But imagine, I've done this, is own the stuff that you don't like about yourself.
Because at that point,
you ain't got me. You can't trigger me.
What's the worst that could happen? Trigger now becomes a point of awareness.
Exactly.
It's just like I'll tell you what. Let me be transparent. You know, people are going to talk about this later, but it don't matter. I'll tell you what. I talk a lot, and there was a time in my life. Now, here's the funny part about this, right? Now I get paid to talk. But there was a time in my life. There was a time in my life when if you told me I talked a lot, a part of me was like, oh my God, why are you insulting me? I get paid to do it now. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, guess what? Maybe something I have to say can help somebody.
Right.
That's a reframing of that conversation in my head. And when I talk too much to the point where I overtalk somebody, I find myself doing it a lot. And I'll be like, you know what? No. I want to hear what you have to say, because the truth is, I want to hear what you got to say.
You know what I learned? We got 2 minutes left. You know what I learned?
What?
To be interested and not interesting, because I catch myself with if I talk about what I'm up to and what I'm doing and what I've done, it becomes interesting to people, and then you end up taking over the whole conversation. So I learned this: not be so interesting and be more interested and ask more questions and then relate to them in those areas. And so we can communicate, we can talk, because I know if I share what I'm up to, people gonna be like, oh my gosh, you did what? And you do. And I was like, and then you walk away with like, man, I dominated that whole conversation. Like you don't want to leave people like that unless you're getting paid to do it. That's
when I tell you that
is
it's such a, because for me, it was a work of figuring it out.
Yeah.
I had to, you understand? And I'm still not perfect at it. The difference is I know it now. So it's a point of awareness. You understand what I'm saying? Like I'm aware that, oh, this is happening, so that if it ever offends somebody, which it has, I'm able to say, no. That's my stuff. Don't worry about that. That's me. That's me over talking. That's not you. It's not because I don't really like what you have to say. It's because I talk a lot.
Alan, man, thank you for hanging out with me tonight.
Absolutely.
Your information's up there on the information's up there on the deck, man. I gotta get out of here. We'll be back. We got a couple more weekends left in this month for men's.
Happy men's
mental health.
Mental health.
Month.
Thank you. Happy men's mental health.
Appreciate you, man.
All right.
All right. This is the Farron Dozier Show. Thank you. This is the Farron Dozier Show on KCA Radio 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, NBR Radio. Shout us out at Farron Dozier on all platforms. Public service announcement right here. And then we're gone. Peace.
Some of us still carry the burden of battle. It threatens to drown us in our everyday lives. In battle, we had our weapons and combat gear to keep us safe, to keep us confident. But when we returned home, we were not armed with weapons and gear to cope with our own minds. I was lucky to find my combat gear, my mental weapon, and it's called Calmago. Calmago is a drug-free device that allows you to achieve calm in less than 3 minutes in moments of anxiety, stress, anger, panic, or insomnia, not with medication, but rather by activating the parasympathetic nervous system through breathing regulation and multisensory stimulation. A recent study has shown that Calmago decreases PTSD and anxiety levels in veterans, helping those who are suffering and having a long-lasting effect. Visit Calmago.com to learn how you can get Calmago through the VA or with a special veterans discount code.
KCAA.